Ever wonder why lottery winners are more likely to declare bankruptcy than the average American? It's hard to believe, isn't it? Imagine you've just won enough money to live like a king for the rest of your life, and 5 years later you're broke, working a minimum wage job. Why is this so common? Well, obviously, those people didn't know how to manage money. But I think there's a deeper reason. I believe it's a negative self-image that was driving their behavior. How do I know this? Because I held a winning lottery ticket in life, and I almost threw it away because of a poor self-image. Your self-image is made up of your beliefs, attitudes, and habits that make you act like you. It's the type of person you believe you are in your core. We all create a mental image of who we are from our interpretation of past experiences. How you see yourself directs your behavior, determining what you do and then how well you do it. We behave in a way that has nothing to do with who we really are, but only with who we think we are. Humans have a natural negative bias, and most people let past experiences define them in a negative way. Your self-image determines the boundaries of your comfort zone, and if you go too far outside of your comfort zone and stay there too long, your self-image automatically drives you back to where you feel comfortable. For some reason, those lottery winners did not feel comfortable being a big winner in life. There could be many reasons why they felt that way, but the result was that they pissed away hundreds of millions of dollars until they were comfortably poor again. In this video, I will explain the ideas I used to change my negative self-image into a positive, more realistic one that unlocked my true potential. I was born with plenty of advantages in life: good parents, a solid middle-class upbringing, surrounded by opportunity. I didn't know it, but life handed me a winning lottery ticket. But a negative self-image held me down like quicksand. For years, I tried to change my attitude, habits, and behaviors, but things didn't turn around until I began working on my self-image. That made all the difference. As a result, my life improved in every way, but most of all, I was happier with who I was. Although it didn't happen overnight, the change was radical and it was life-saving. Today I feel good about who I am and where I'm going. All I can tell you is what worked for me, and encourage you to give it a try yourself if you want to make some changes in your life. Your self-image is your own conception of the kind of person you are. Your self-image defines what you feel is like you and not like you to do. If you really see yourself as a winner, you will win a lot in life because that's just like you. Your feelings, habits, behaviors, and abilities are always consistent with this self-image. Your self-image sets the upper and lower limits of your success. You perform in life up to your self-image, not to your skills or IQ. If you have more success than your self-image is comfortable with, you will self-sabotage like those lottery winners did. Likewise, if your success falls below your self-image, you will find a way to get it back up to where you feel good about yourself again. Everyone's self-image limits their behavior. Some people will never drink or do drugs because they feel it's not like them to do so. There are people who feel at home living in a trailer park and couldn't imagine themselves living anywhere else, while other people wouldn't feel right unless they lived in a Beverly Hills mansion because their self-image tells them they are that type of person. If you see yourself as someone who is unlucky or someone who always gets the short end of the stick, that will tend to be how your life plays out because your self-image makes you act like the type of person you believe yourself to be. And no matter how hard you try to act differently, you will always, over time, end up acting in alignment with that self-image. If you see yourself as unlikable, that belief will create an attitude that will send out negative vibes to others. When they pick up on those vibes, they won't like you. Meanwhile, someone who believes they are likable will have an attitude that will create habits that make them likable. What you think and feel about yourself unconsciously determines the way you act and behave. We don't ever consider the idea that it's our self-image that creates our attitude, habits, body language, and behavior, but they all originate from the image you have of yourself in your mind. From experience, I know you can't permanently change your behavior or your life without first changing your self-image. This is one of the reasons it was so difficult for me to change myself and my life. My efforts didn't address the root cause of the problem, the image I had of myself. The good thing is that your self-image is something you can change. Your self-image is always slowly changing as you experience life, but you can take control and deliberately paint a new mental portrait of who you are, one that is positive and based on reality. You can have a self-image that resembles who you really are, who you are meant to be, allowing you to live a better life. The truth is, we are all born for success, and we all carry within us the greatness of what it means to be a human. Regardless of how you feel about yourself today, you have the ability to be happy and successful at whatever you put your mind into. So how did I change the mental picture I had of myself? I will explain the ideas and methods that worked for me and have changed my life, but first we need to understand how the self-image is formed. The human brain has a negative bias that serves as a survival mechanism. Our brains evolved to find the negatives in life, to be aware of possible threats. This primal survival instinct is hardwired into our brains, and while today our lives are not under constant attack like they were for our early ancestors, we still often react to threats as if they were. We react far more intensely to negative events than positive ones, which is the brain making sure we understand to avoid those negative situations in the future. We can dwell on a negative experience for years, decades, or the rest of our life. As Rick Hanson said in his book Buddha's Brain, our brains are like Velcro for negative experiences and Teflon for good ones. Your self-image is formed by the mental pictures you hold in your head and the thoughts you dwell on. With our negative bias, it's not surprising that people allow their past experiences to define them in a negative way. But it's an interpretation of reality, not the truth. Your behavior is based upon the person you think you are, not who you actually are. These images in your head, based upon your interpretation of past events, create strong neural pathways in your brain. The more often you dwell on a thought, feeling, or image, the deeper and stronger the neural pathway will become. I like to think of a neural pathway as the grooves in a vinyl record. The needle follows the grooves in a record with ease. Your brain, like the needle on a record player, will take the path of least resistance and use the deepest, strongest grooves, or neural pathways. Using the strong pathway is easier, saving the brain energy and resources. These dominant neural pathways become the self-image that determines how you think and act. This is part of the reason it's hard to change habits. To activate new neural pathways, your brain needs to use more effort, energy, and valuable resources. Why would the brain take the hard road when the easy road is wide open? It's through repetition that we pave the new road in our brains, making it easier to use. To change, we need to spend time every day deliberately creating the mental states we want to dominate our minds. If you consistently activate these new pathways and neglect the old pathways you don't want, the new pathways will become stronger until they become part of your self-image. But the old self-image will resist change, so it takes consistent effort and time. It's not easy, and it don't happen overnight. The first practice that worked well for making real changes in my self-image is using what I call a wins journal. I keep a notebook on my nightstand next to my bed, and every night just before I crawl into the covers, I sit on my bed and write down at least 3 wins I had that day. These can be very small wins or big wins. Anything I did during the day I was proud of. I will also write down anything that happened during the day that pleased me or that I was grateful for. No matter how bad of a day you may have had, you can always find a handful of things you're grateful for. This is positive reinforcement. By deliberately dwelling on those positive events, I began to turn the Teflon in my mind into Velcro, training my brain to make helpful events stick in my mind. The first thing I noticed after starting a win journal was that I had begun looking for ways to create wins throughout the day. I woke up with more enthusiasm, eager to have a great day by stacking up plenty of wins. As I looked for the positive each day, my outlook became more optimistic. Thinking about my daily wins as I drift off to sleep gives me a better night's sleep, falling asleep quicker, and sleeping deeper. Recording my wins like this has paid off big time in my life, and it only takes 5 minutes. Even though I was beginning to be more optimistic, I still noticed my self-talk needed a lot of work. The inner critic in my head was damaging my self-image. Awareness of your negative self-talk is the first step in turning it around. The wisdom of the greatest minds that have ever lived have been recorded in quotes. In the morning, I will take 10 minutes to meditate on a few great quotes. I will let a quote slowly roll around in my head and ponder its meaning to me. This gets my self-talk off to a good start. Many people like to use affirmations to improve their self-talk, but affirming something that is not true never worked well for me. Instead, I use questions to raise the level of my self-talk. Questions direct our thoughts in a way affirmations can't. When I catch my inner dialogue being negative, I ask myself, how well are these thoughts serving me? Or, how would a good friend talk to me in this situation? I also like to turn affirmations into questions. Simple affirmations like, I am great, become more effective for me if I change them to, why am I great? This makes me stop and think of ways I'm great and enlarges my self-image. Instead of the affirmation, I find it easy and enjoyable to do housework, I ask myself, what's preventing me from doing some housework? Or how much effort would it take to wash those dishes? Or how will I feel looking at a clean kitchen? Questions like this that are open-ended and action-oriented make me stop and think and increase the probability I will do something productive. With practice, asking yourself these types of questions become a normal part of the way you think. For me, the trick to using affirmations effectively is when I use them. Positive reinforcement is one of the keys to changing your self-image. I use affirmations for positive reinforcement after the good behavior. After I do the dishes, I deliberately affirm that I'm the type of person that keeps my kitchen clean, and this will reinforce my new self-image. Good behavior is any act that aligns with my new self-image. The affirmation reinforces the good behavior in my mind, affirming my new self-image. Talk about, think about, and write about anything you do that is in alignment with your new self-image. Amplify those acts in your mind and tell yourself that it's just like you to behave that way. Turn that Teflon into Velcro. Since the way you think shapes your self-image, learning to control your thoughts is critical. Every time you think about a mistake, it becomes more like you to create a mistake. Every time you worry, you increase the probability that what you're worrying about will happen. If you think about a solution to a problem, it becomes more like you to solve that problem. Every time you think about what you want to happen, you improve the probability it will happen. This is why I stopped complaining. Complaining will shrink your self-image and increase the negativity in your life. Positivity is our only hope. Don't reinforce a bad day by complaining about it. Instead, reinforce anything good in your life. Fill your thoughts with your best days and greatest accomplishments, and you will see even more success. Along these lines, I'm careful who I spend time with. I don't want to hear other people complain. All my friends are positive people. Remember, your dominant thoughts wire your brain to create your self-image. I also discovered that forgiveness is part of a healthy self-image. I recognized that I needed to consciously forgive everyone, and I mean everyone, even those who have deliberately wronged me. That's not easy, but dwelling on those events will fill your mind with negativity. When you hold on to bitterness, the only one you hurt is you. If you bury those feelings of anger into your subconscious, they will seep out and poison your mental and physical well-being. I had a long list of people I felt who had done me wrong. When I deliberately and consciously made the choice to forgive everyone, a burden began to lift off my shoulders. And the key word here is choice. You start with the decision to forgive, with the understanding that your emotions will take a while to come around. The anger and bitterness would still sometimes pop up in my mind, but every time that happened, I reminded myself of my decision. I would replace those thoughts of anger with the thought of my decision. Over time, by not dwelling on those angry thoughts, they became weaker. The key was to remind myself again and again of my decision to forgive. Look at it this way. Forgiveness is good for you in every way. Studies show that forgiveness is associated with lower levels of depression, anxiety, and stress, higher self-esteem, greater life satisfaction, and even better physical health, like lowering blood pressure, the risk of heart attack, and improving cholesterol levels and sleep. Forgiving everyone includes forgiving yourself. Make the decision to forgive yourself for your errors. You can't repeatedly beat yourself up for your past mistakes and have a healthy self-image. Acknowledge your mistakes and move past them. A healthy self-image is realistic. One of the things we all have in common is that we are flawed and make mistakes. Let go of any idea that you need to be perfect or that it's even possible. When you free yourself from the past, you begin to look forward to the future with more optimism, motivation, and productivity. Along with self-forgiveness, it's important to embrace what makes you different. The things that make you not like everyone else are actually the things that will make you successful. Be who you are and like who you are. Don't conform yourself to someone else's standard. Be yourself. Embracing what makes you different will open new doors and opportunities. Your uniqueness is tied to your purpose in life. And I believe if you don't embrace your uniqueness, you will never find your true purpose or reach your true potential. Appreciate what makes you different. It's your ticket to success. Emphasize your differences and use them to offer something unique to the world. Don't tolerate anyone who makes fun of you or puts you down because you're different. But most of all, stop putting yourself down. Learn to love what makes you different, and your self-image in your life will prosper. Changing your self-image is not easy. You will have to step out of your comfort zone every day. Winners in life have trained themselves to recognize being uncomfortable as something good. Every uncomfortable moment will build mental toughness. You have to let go of the familiar and take a risk to live the life you dream about. I deliberately try to do something uncomfortable every day because I know that's where the growth in life is. Changing your self-image will require you to step out of your comfort zone again and again. Begin to see yourself as the type of person who likes to test himself by doing things that feel uncomfortable. It's true that the only thing stopping you from where you are to where you want to go is your comfort zone. Challenge your comfort zone every day and realize its boundaries can be expanded. Your comfort zone is defined by how you see yourself. Change your self-image first, then your attitudes, habits, and behaviors will begin to change. You will never reach your potential without a healthy self-image. How you see yourself sets the limits around your success. Changing your self-image is the most important skill you will ever learn. Choose a positive, realistic self-image and consistently reinforce it to make it strong. Neglect the old self-image, making it weak. With consistent effort, your life will open up and become better in every way.